There guys, I bet you're expecting the Macho Man, but no. This one's just a normal video. A lot of you guys have been asking me about how I make a basic, like, easy War Pike build. I'm actually here to teach you how to make one that's similar to what I'm running, but you know, this one obviously includes a lot more survivability and it doesn't have any legendary pieces inside it. The hardest thing to get would be the Shroud's Dark Watch, and the only reason for this helmet is because there's really nothing else that can replace it that's not legendary, unfortunately. So how do you work this? I'll explain it right now. It starts off with Scar and Spite, okay, and that'll have you that'll be infused with a Cunning cell, Tough cell. Your special will not be Reckless Sleep, it'll be Concussive Payload, because that's what you start with, and your mod will be Munitions Amplifier. Of course, it would be better to have Executioner Spearhead, but Munitions Amplifier is good enough. It, like, just to start off with, this is fine. Bastion will be your Omnicell of choice. It is more difficult to obtain than Iceborne, but it is something that's necessary for you. Okay, Skarn's Defiance will be your lantern with Aetheric Attunement. Your helmet will be the Dark Watch from the Shroud. Again, this is the only thing that's difficult to obtain because it requires like level 20 stuff, but yeah, without it, you won't have as much viability because it's the only helmet that comes with Cunning. Alright, so Tenacious will be a self-choice here. Your Draskale plate will have a Galvanized cell. Your Gnasher grips will have a Galvanized cell. And the Gnasher treads will have a Tenacious cell. Overall, what this build will give you is +6 Aetheric. Sorry, let me remove my cam before I talk about that. Easier. +6 Aetheric Attunement for faster lantern recharge, which, as you know, will help trigger the Skarns a lot. +6 Cunning, which will give you more critical strike damage and additional critical strike chance. You have +6 Galvanized, more critical strike chance, more critical strike damage. +6 Tenacious, which in this particular case will give you bonus hit points of about, when you're just starting out, it will give you 30% bonus damage as long as your hit points remain untouched, and at later stages you'll get 32% because you have 1600 hit points. +6 Toughness. This is just to boost the effect of Tenacious. You don't have to have it in, but the Skarns comes with a defensive cell, so you may as well take advantage of that. And then you have Rage Hunter, which comes from the Gnasher grips. Very easy to make, and it just boosts your damage against angry behemoths, and the weighted strikes comes naturally with Skarn, so that just gives you a little bit of extra stagger damage, but it's like minuscule. Alright, so how does this build play? What's important to realize with this build is that it is a very, very tanky build. Alright, so you can face tank a lot of stuff and not worry about it. Also, there aren't many limiting factors on your damage. You can just happily take damage and most of it is not going to bother you. Okay? But what is going to happen is that if you want to, and you think you're good at interrupting with the Pike alone, like with the Pike attacks, you don't need your concussive payload, switch to Savage Wellspring. It will drastically increase your damage output. Alright, so let's try that out. Alright, the reason why I'm not using the concussive payload is because it's not necessary for interrupting. You can interrupt with Pike attacks. Alright, so to showcase the effectiveness of this build, we will go to a place about, I would say 6 levels higher is a good showcase. So we'll go to Thunder Watch, which is yeah, roughly 6 to 9 levels higher. Okay, let's go. For those of you that don't want to see the combat showcase, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, you can drop a tip if you want to keep my content running. You want to keep powering up the Macho Man. Drop a tip via the link in the description of the video. But otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and your viewership means a lot to me. All right, let's see this in action. As always, we're not cutting anything because, I mean, you know me. We don't do that to show the authenticity of our videos. We like to make sure that people realize that there are no edits, there's nothing has changed behind your back. Everything is 100%, you know, showcased as is. And of course that's important not only because of the trust, but because, well, it's just smarter. Okay, supporting, some people, it's so nice. Appreciate some YouTube comments before I go on. All right, so we're going in now against the against this lovely Nasher. Always start out by putting up your lantern. Why? Because you do not want to be in a situation where you're not receiving your lantern benefits and then, you know, something just tries and kills you. Okay, so you can bump easily, and if you do get into trouble, this build unfortunately doesn't come with any like special sustain, so you have nothing to rely on for your sustain other than your shields. But please note that because it is a Terra Spear and you are using a Terra Lantern, it is actually very easy to get the Terra status effect prop, and that will in turn result in you being able to survive. Now, see, once the Terra status effect procs, you're okay. Just go ham, keep triggering your lantern, and you're fine. That's basically what I do anyway. Again, I don't sweat too much. Like, if I need a while, I'll just take like 15 minutes to rest and like chill out, like in a corner or something. Again, if I don't feel like going in too close, I'll just wait, let my lantern trigger. Because don't forget, the more you trigger your lantern, the better. And with Bastion boosting shields every time you attack, as long as you're attacking, you're also in a pretty good situation. So feel free to experiment, play around with that. The behemoths are still going to be rough. They are still going to attack the living shit out of you, but hey, that's part and parcel of Dauntless. Like I said, you're absolutely able to very easily trigger Terra effects, so use that to feel better about okay. And if Behemoth gets too fast or too uppity in your face, and once it goes down, just trigger your Savage Wellspring and then just go ham, because your crit rate will be boosted along with your crit damage. So again, although fighting a creature 8 levels higher than your level might be a little difficult, it's not as difficult as people think. And this was me just waltzing in slowly to fight this Flameborn Nasher. I think you guys can understand how strong this build is, all things considered. Now, ideally you want to try and wound, but sometimes the Nasher is such a dig that it makes that very impossible. But again, we do these combat shows. Normally you'd be fighting creatures about 3 to 4 levels higher than you. We will not be fighting creatures under such extreme circumstances, but we do it in this way because we have to show you, to prove to you that the build works. You know, even with just you know, relatively easy to obtain gear other than the Shroud's helmet, you know, you can do well. Oh, control chest, yay. Okay. Now, going around behind this, we see a Shrike. Okay, let's take care of it. Now, unlike the builds, most of my Pike builds, which focus on Reckless Leap, which you obtain from the Trial Store, this does not, so. But it still is relatively easy to wound. Like, you don't have to think too hard, sweat too hard. And again, this build does not use the power of the Executioner Spearhead, which is a huge boost to damage, especially when you're wounding often. You see, which is another downside, I guess, but it's not too bad. Could be a lot worse. Now, the reason why it is important to be able to knock down on your own is because if you're using the Savage Wellspring version, now, okay, this is a visual glitch. The Savage Wellspring did trigger. You can see the buff there in the top left-hand corner, or well, it was there. You can rewind and see it if you want. But basically, you'll be able to tear through behemoths real easy, as long as you understand what you're doing with it. Alright? That's if you want to use the Savage Wellspring. If you don't want to, it's perfectly fine as well. Most of the time, it isn't even triggered. So, I like to save up the ammunition and trigger it on knockdown. That's usually what works for me. Alright. No! There, a Trask. Battle start. Now, the Bastion Omnicell does come with some cool shit in there, which is if after you knock down a target or something, you know, or if it's close to being staggered, you can use your leap to get in there and, you know, dish out some extra punishment. That is exactly what you should be using it for, just so you know. Big FYI, that's exactly what you use it for. And after the big knockdown, you know, Terra Orbs coming out all over the place, just go ham, just go ham. Do not waste time, do not think too hard. You don't need to think too hard. You're here to just go ham, and ham is what you shall do. It's already dead, so voila. Okay, so as always, that didn't take a lot of effort. It's very easy to use this build. It's very easy to trash behemoths even above your level. Just remember that there's no replacement for combat skill and technique. Fight behemoths that are about 2-3 levels higher than you, and you will never go wrong. This has so much survival built in that you are unbelievably tanky. Okay? Alright, let's move to Tipper Scene, shall we? Now this one's a smooth transition. Thank you all to my July's top tippers: Bravo 7910, Idgits 751, Breachinator, Sean Lewisgrave. Thank you so much for supporting my content. You want your name up here? Just drop a tip via the link in the description of the video. Otherwise, just like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much for enjoying my videos. Thank you so much for enjoying my content. The Macho Man appreciates you tremendously, and I just look forward to being able to do all kinds of crazy builds for you guys. All right, more coming soon. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.